Hello everyone, this is Zeeebo and welcome to this AFK journey video. So the Fairy Tail collab banner is upon us and we have both Natsu and Lucy being released into the game. So during the stream earlier, we did more testing with Natsu, but in today's video, we're going to run through our Natsu kit as well as Lucy's kit, but talk more about Natsu because that's where we did more testing. So after this recording and the release of video, I'll do more testing for Lucy to give my more in-depth view. So we'll do some pullings on our own account and then talk more about Lucy later. But for the 2-unit skill kit, just a brief TLDR for them. Lucy basically relies on summoning of Aquarius for the damage as well as the control, such that she's able to proc her Star Dress ability to give her that double control in the team itself. She's also able to provide a little bit of control from the Lucy kick with the ability to shield one of the allies to give them increased longevity. So overall, I think Lucy probably fits into some of the current teams in the current meta game, such as the control teams or even summoner teams, right? If you are going in that direction. So that's for Lucy, but we didn't do too much testing. We'll talk more about her later in another video after we do more. For Natsu's case, Natsu has a massive damage output in the kit itself, with damage going upwards to about 4000% if you are using the sorcery charm to max out the skill power. So this unit, I'll say, heavily reliant on the ultimate for massive Q potential, with the ability to get stats from fairy ties if the allies falls in battle, and also additional damage and debuff of the Iron Fist ability and also the Salamander Natsu ability. So that is for Natsu as well as Lucy in terms of the kit TLDR. Now with regards to our testing, for the Supreme Arena side or the PvP side, the problem with Natsu, right? Let's just put it this way. I mentioned this in the stream, but I'm just going to say it again. In terms of what Natsu can do in PvP, he is a unit that does a lot of damage. If he's able to unleash his ultimate, you can see the enemy's HP melting immediately. And this is where, like, if the enemy doesn't have any form of revival mechanics or any form of repositioning mechanics, I think he's going to make for a really good DPS unit on the battlefield, right? But this brings me to another question, which is the current meta. Like, how is Natsu going to fit into the current PvP meta? So this unit, massive damage, right? He's able to get stats if the allies fall. But the thing is, he doesn't have that much mobility, so he's not good against units that runs around. So right here we can see this is another problem, right? Natsu doesn't have that much tankiness, so if Natsu gets bursted down before he's able to proc his passive, then you get a wasted skill. And last but not least, right, this unit has, I'll say, like, very little answers against all the revive based units which are very popular in the meta. Units like Tarsi, units like Talin, they are super duper popular. And even for the normal arena side, if you go by the current gold standards of the meta itself, Atalia is easily one of the strongest unit running around, right? And I think Atalia is an amazing counter to Natsu. I think this replay will showcase the problem of this matchup. So we have Natsu jumping with the Iron Fist itself and then positioning himself in a prime position to unleash his ultimate. So in this position, if our Natsu channels his full ultimate duration, he will be able to maybe wipe out like most of the enemy's team. But as you guys see right there, Atalia just snap him off by just using the ultimate. And let's say if you were to use Natsu as your main carry, there's a high possibility that Atalia might be able to go after him. So him not having his inbuilt survival before he gets that ties buff itself makes him pretty frail. So this is where if you get all these snipers that go after him, there's very little you can do. So that's that. That's one interaction. Another interaction would be the awkward movement of Natsu in the normal battlefield against like some of the more meta units. For example, Tarsi, right? So we have a Tarsi right here. Even though we win, but this is also able to, we can also showcase a problem. So right here, Natsu is at this corner of the map. He uses his skill to kick Talin as well as like the Damien area, but he returns to his original position. He doesn't move to the new position that he goes after the unit. So right here we have the Aqua Barrier of Lucy as well. Okay, so he uses his ultimate, he kills off one target, and then he's on that spot, and you have to see manually walk towards the enemy on the other side of the battlefield. So what this means is, let's say if you are matched up against the likes of Tasi, which moves around the whole battlefield, or if you are against the likes of Bonnie, which is able to position her behind the wall, yeah, it is going to be a little bit challenging. So that's with regards to like the problems I see with Natsu. So I think if Natsu pulls off his ultimate, he's a pretty good damage dealer, a pretty good carry, but then you have to sort of take into notice like the survival issue as well as the matchup issue. So like if let's say you want to have an easier time, you can. So like obviously you can still burst Tasi down as soon as possible, but the thing is, yeah, if let's say you don't, then this could be a problem if the opponent's Tasi is strong enough. So that's with regards to like some of the observations for the arena side. So generally speaking, I think for Natsu's case, right, his problem is not that his numbers are not impressive. Even in Dream Realm, his numbers are okay, but like, yeah, like being okay is not okay in the meta, because like you want to be either meta or top tier, right? So this is where I feel that Natsu is not the most ideal meta character, at least based on day one impressions. Okay, this is day one impression. In the future, in the next few days, if there are more testers, there are more players actively playing Natsu and showcasing his abilities and also testing it out, we might be able to get a different result. But right now, as of what we are seeing, Natsu doesn't look that impressive. Another thing for the dimensional unit is that dimensionals, they are considered a faction on their own. So team building for factional bonus might be a little bit challenging, because right here we have, for example, our Celestial Hypogean carrier. So if we throw in an Atalia, we get a 5-1, right? Because we get 2 Wilders as well as the Celestial Hypogean. But let's say if we take out Floribel, for example, and maybe put in Natsu right here, right? So Natsu right here, we will still get a 4-1. So this is because the Celestial Hypogean, right, they are universal class. The dimensional, which is Natsu's class, they are a separate class from the Mauler, Wilders, Graveborn, Lightbearers, etc, etc, right? So what this means is, let's say if you are running Natsu, you put him in a team, chances are you will never get your 5-1 bonus, even with unless you're using a full Celestial team. So let's say if you're using a full Celestial team, then you'll get a 5-1, right? So this is where you can get a 5-1 for maximum stat boost. So stat wise, I'm honestly a little bit disappointed, because I initially thought, hey, dimensionals, if they don't get that attack HP percentage but they're universal, I guess they will be a lot more flexible on team building, because that way, like, you can build your team and you still get as much fractional bonus for you to be a little bit tankier, to be a little bit more powerful in terms of damage dealing side. So that's one more thing about them. So on the AFK stage side, I guess for the 2 units itself, right? So let me just showcase it and talk about like my final thoughts about them. So the thing about, I'll say like the AFK stage side would be survival. Yeah, the issue with them is survival, because like I think Lucy is fine. So far Lucy is okay. I haven't done too much testing, so I will leave hers to another video. But let's say if we were to use both of them together and maybe we put a Coco, for example, right? So let's say we use this team, for example. I think this stage might be a little hard to test, but we're just gonna showcase the issue with this. So let's put a Lucy for the control and the summon, and then we're gonna put Light Surge for additional defense. So the thing about Natsu is this: I think the numbers very impressive, but you need to make sure he survives. And he has 2 modes, so Lightning Dragon as well as Fire Dragon King, to switch between. So TLDR, Fire Dragon King does more damage, but Lightning Fire Dragon has more utility because it has debuff as well as control in the stun. So generally speaking, if you're not bossing or you're not doing damage, I will prefer the Lightning Dragon, because you have the stun in the ultimate, and the damage numbers might not be as high as the Fire Dragon King, but I'll still say it's okay. So having that control, the debuff, will allow your Natsu to survive better, for him to do what he wants. So I'll say, like, from my most genuine opinion, the Lightning Fire Dragon is better. So that's that, okay? But let's say if you have no issue surviving and you are just out using Natsu as a main damage dealer, Fire Dragon King, still the better option for sheer damage. So that's with regards to this one. So we'll speed things up. So our Lucy died there. But as long as you are able to keep your like Natsu alive, I think the damage numbers will still be okay. Like, his numbers are high, but the issue is surviving to get to your win condition. So that's it for this video. Just a simple showcase and discussion of my first impression for Natsu so far. Hopefully, right, you guys haven't actually pulled for him yet. There's a lot of time to pull for both the units. So if you're still sitting on the fence and not confirmed on the meta itself, feel free to wait for a little bit more before committing to them. So this is the damage distribution right here, as you guys can see. So yeah, you might have good damage, but if you don't survive, you're not going to deliver good damage. So that's it for this video. Thank you very much for tuning in, and I'll see you guys again in my next video. Bye guys.